order the Tirz meeting on, what is it today? January 21st at 3 o'clock. And I have asked Jack Peterson to give us an invocation, please. This way. If you'll stand.
Thank you.
Good and gracious Lord, thank you for the many blessings of this life that you give us daily. Please guide us in our discussions of what is beneficial to the citizens of Kerrville, to Kirk County, and to the state of Texas. Dear Lord, thank you for all your mercies and all your kindness. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Jack.
Do we say the pledge?
You know, I don't know why we haven't.
Let's do.
If you'll stand with us, and we will, say the pledge.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. All right, we first have our Visitors and Citizens Forum. Before we do that, we've got a number of people here today that I would like to make sure that the Tirz board knows who you are. So we'll have discussion at the end of this, open, just an open forum. Don't have to sign up for that, don't have to do anything, just be here. So we hope you're all staying for that. But I think it would be good, now hopefully you guys know who the board is, but I would like for them to know who you are and who you're associated with. So if we'll start over here, please.
I get to go first? Yeah.
Yes.
I'm Mandy Wendeley, and I am the President and CEO of the Kerrville Area Chamber of Commerce and original board member of this Tirz board.
That's right. Okay, yes, we'll start right there.
Okay, my name is Jill Drake, and I was on the Main Street Advisory Board, so I'm now on the Cultural Designation District Board, if that's the name you guys chose. I wasn't at the last meeting. I'm a 4-year resident of Kerr County, and I'm very interested in making downtown great. And I want it to be somewhere where people come and visit and enjoy all of the amenities, and so I'm here to be a worker bee. That's me.
Thank you.
We're with the Texas Hill Country Atelier. I'm Holly White Garrett, and this is Carol Griffin, business manager. I'm founder and primary instructor. We do classical realism for adults and teens. We do have a teen program right next to Clint.
All right, thank you for being here. We'll jump to the back.
Me,
You.
Larry Howard. I'm a Tirz property owner. I serve on the K-Pub Board of Directors.
Thank you, Larry. Todd?
Todd Bach, Executive Director of Kerr Economic Development Corporation.
Howard Taylor, immediate past chair of the downtown, what was
Main
that?
Street.
Main Street, yes. And now a member of the Cultural District Committee.
Delane Singerman, I'm a lot of things, I wear a lot of hats. I'm on the Cultural District Designated City as well board, the newly created board. But I was on City Council in 2018 when we voted for y'all to have a Tirz. And so I've seen it grow, and I'm so excited to see what we're going to be able to do with that money we thought was so small at that time. But anyway, Delane Singerman on the Cultural District today. That's the hat I'm wearing.
And
I'm
I
also
think,
a City Council person.
Delane, when we get to the forum, I think I would like to have you take a couple minutes and explain what the Cultural Committee now, or district, is going to mean and
Sure, I didn't know if you wanted me to do that in the visitors forum, but I can do it on 4C. Is that what you're
Yes.
talking? I can wait
Yeah.
for 4C
Okay.
if you'd like.
Okay. And then we've got some staff members. If you guys will introduce yourself.
My name is Jacob Bogish. I'm the Finance Compliance Coordinator here at the City of Kerrville.
Trina Rodriguez, Assistant Director of Finance, and I assist Julie and Jacob. But Julie will be here shortly.
Brenda Hughes, Place 4 City Council and Liaison for this board.
She's really not staff, so she's one of the important people here. Over here?
Drew Paxton, Director of Development Services.
Michael Warnes, I work with all these guys.
Kelly Hagner, Economic Development Manager.
Keisha Franchina, the Deputy City Secretary and Executive Office Coordinator.
And we had somebody who just came in. Julie, tell us who you are.
Julie Behrens, Director of Finance.
Okay, all right. Thank you all, and we appreciate all of you being here. So now our visitors and citizens forum, we'll ask Elaine to wait till later. Anyone else who wanted to speak during this time? Howard?
Sure. Don't have very much to say. I just, Delaine's going to share with you what the cultural district is all about. But I will tell you that I've had prior experience with that. And in San Angelo, former mayor, you know about San Angelo, we had a cultural district, and it allowed us to raise over $600,000 over a very short period of time, several years. It played a big role in advancing things in that community. And also that obtaining that for this community at this point in time was a pretty big achievement, because we were told up front that unlikely to get that designation this year, maybe not even next year, et cetera. But we were able to obtain that this year and have tremendous leadership and a great team behind it. And so this is kind of a footnote to all your discussion, but the point I want to try to get across is the uniqueness of the downtown core area of the community. I hear people say, and I do not disagree with this, that our downtown is thriving, that it's unique, it's beautiful. But I think we should not take that for granted, that it's a challenging time. A number of the merchants have already said that things are more challenging since the flood than they thought, and some of them are struggling a bit. Also, from my background, our downtown is a little smaller than I think the community really needs. How do you grow a downtown when it's almost at capacity when you look at all the properties that are currently available? One other observation, and this is something I think that could play a very significant role in our community going forward. And I've been around Texas a lot in a lot of different communities. And when I came here, and came here for a lot of other reasons, but just became aware of the unique cultural agglomeration you have in downtown. Kind of, I think of it as the four pillars. You've got the Kello Theater, you've got the Hill Country Atelier, you've got the Arcadia Theater, and the Kerr Art Center. And every one of those things are remarkable, and I think way more advanced for a community of this size than anything I've seen elsewhere. Arcadia is just magnificent. The Kello Theater, state-of-the-art and beautiful, and you've invested in it and maintained it. And then we have something new and wonderful, Clint Orms, I notice here, with that almost magical presence that you've brought to downtown. A maker, a person who's an artist, designer, with other people working there. And Clint, I presume each of those people are artisans in their own right. And so I think with some of the challenges we may be facing as a community, that unique cultural imprint that we have can be a really significant element in how we develop and spend our Tirz money as we go forward. So I'm not here to talk about anything specific, but just that is, I think, something that's going to become and should become a driving force and something we should invest in. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me back up just a minute. There may be some of you who are not familiar with everyone on the board. So let's start down here and tell us who you are and who you are with.
I'm Laura Four. I'm a fairly new Tirz member. This is my second meeting, and very honored to be here and certainly taking this position very seriously. I'm the owner-broker of Four Premier Properties, a real estate brokerage here in Kerrville. Also the owner of Pookie's Patisserie, and a real estate investor as well, invested heavily in downtown. We own the 804 Water Building, the 832 Main Building, the Farmhouse Project across from Callow, and the Off Main Building, the building that we hope to do something with behind Pampel's one day as well. So heavily invested, and certainly all in with this board. So thank you for having me.
My name's Andrew Gay. I'm co-owner of Texas Hill Country Advisors. We're an independent local wealth management firm based here in Kerrville. And our property is about 2 blocks outside of the Tirz boundary. But I've been here for over a decade. Been heavily involved in the community for most of the all the years that I've been here. So my immediate family's here. My wife's a Tybee grad. Her family's around here too. So my roots have just continued to deepen in this community in the time that I've been in Kerrville.
Thank you.
I'm Clint Orms, and I'm with Clint Orms Engravers and Silversmiths. And we just moved downtown 7 months ago. And we're really happy to be downtown and be a part of what all is going on down here. It's a beautiful place to be. And we're just so happy to be here. We have 28 employees. Right now, we're expanding, and we have room to probably grow 30% in the next year. We're excited about that, and then we have a lot of really good things going on.
Thank you.
My name is Jack Peterson. I moved here 3 years ago. I came to be back in the town where my father grew up, and I've always wanted to live here, but we had to grow up in Houston, and then I have spent the 33 years before moving here. I lived in Washington, D.C., and worked for Harris County, representing them there in Washington, D.C., and making sure that they had full knowledge of what the county needed, and that the members of our delegation and those employees of federal agencies knew what hardship and what benefits and what great things the people of Harris County faced each day. And I told Clint Orms that if I ever get married again, I want to get married in his shop. It's the most gorgeous place in town.
Thank you.
It'll be the first.
I am Crystal Smith. My husband and I operate Billie Jean's restaurant, and my father-in-law was Billie Jean, and we've lived out here about 10 years so they could retire, and we have a 13-year-old son. Yes, teenage years are hitting us nice and hard. We employ about 70 employees, so like Andrew, we're one of the few that are outside of the Tirz district, but I am glad to be on this committee, and thank you, Ms. Judy.
Thank you.
Excuse me, I'm Sue Schulze, and my husband and I, Dan, moved here from Houston in about 10 years ago to retire and play golf. And of course that didn't happen. Pretty soon we found property we liked. So now we have a vineyard, Turtle Creek Vineyard, outside on Lower Turtle Creek. For about 10 years now, we have Turtle Creek Olives and Vines. They're on Earl Garrett, right across from Shriner Goods. And we have about 22 employees. We're very invested in downtown, and we love to see this community succeed. Very happy to be on the board.
Thank you. So as you can see, you've got a good, strong board and people who are heavily invested and interested, and I think some good things are going to come out of that. Okay, let's move on to our business. The first is to approve the minutes from the meeting on, June 11th, 2025. We're only 6 months behind, right? So any questions on those minutes? Anyone have anything?
Oops, sorry.
Thumbs up.
Do we have a motion? I will move that we have a second. All right. All in favor, raise your right hand, please. And it is approved. All right.
Yes, that's yours.
Okay. The minutes from the meeting on August 13. We're cleaning house here. Any questions or comments on those minutes? And if not, do we have a motion?
Move.
Second? We have a second down here. And all in favor, right hand, please. And we're good. All right. And the last of these, the minutes from October 8th. Anyone have anything that needed to be changed? Do we have a motion?
A motion.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor. All in favor, right hand, please. And thank you. All right, we are good. And finally, caught up. Okay. Now, some information that we're going to get. Kelly, I believe you are first.
Yes, ma'am. So I'm just going to give y'all a very broad overview of how the exterior enhancement grant has gone so far. The review committee is actually going to meet tomorrow. Andrew and Crystal are on that team with me for us to go through the applications. So this is just a broad overview of the various areas that submitted an application. We had 42 total responses. 24 of those are eligible projects. There were some that maybe there were multiples on the same building because maybe it was the business owner and the property owner, or the business owner put in multiple projects. So instead of deleting those, I will just bring all of those projects forward, and then the review committee can look at that. We had about $1.2 million in total projects submitted, and 170,000 in grant requests, and we have allocated 50,000. So it was wildly successful. I am very nervous about having to choose tomorrow who's going to get some of that money, but I think that is really a testament to the small businesses being very appreciative about a grant opportunity. There were only 5 ineligible submissions. One of those was a short-term rental, which is something that this board and city council had mentioned, even though that they are not qualified as a business, that both of y'all would like to see some sort of grant opportunity for residents or short-term rentals within the district. I broke it down by types of businesses. So we had 10 restaurant and bars, 5 retails, 8 services, and 1 nonprofit. And then multiples of the businesses might have hit more than one type of project, but for the most part, 5 landscaping, 12 something that they need to do with the building, whether it was painting or windows. 2 were actually structural issues, 17 signage, and then 5 parking lots. Parking lots, just so that y'all know, that really is something that keeps coming up. So that might be a conversation as we go on with this open forum, if we do want to in the future focus on parking lots separately. So the review committee will meet tomorrow, and then I plan on sending award notifications on January 30th. Any comments, questions?
Anybody have any questions for Kelly? This has exceeded my expectations. I did not think we would have that many applications, so that is great. And I would also say I think it's due to getting the word out. Exactly. So, which I'm so pleased at. Yes.
Yes, thank you for
Thank
that. Though I gave each of one of y'all a card. I tried to get those out to as many businesses as possible. Utility billing really helped me out. They allowed for me to put a blurb about the grant on the billing statements for a few cycles. I was able to get on the radio and on the lead, and then the newspapers also picked that up. Crystal made multiple announcements at City Council, and then also posted it on our Facebook. So it was a great effort, a great team effort.
Yes. So thank you for that. Yes.
For those that were not successful in submitting a grant, was there a general theme or a general reason why they were not eligible, so that we might be able to educate in the future those that file for grants so that they are successful?
There was only one that was a short-term rental. The other ones were outside of the Tirz. I think it's just more of an education of knowing where the boundaries
Knowing
are.
where the boundaries are. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Well, this is great, and we'll all be looking forward to what the team comes up with tomorrow, and probably will not be easy decisions. So, all right, very, very good. Okay, thank you, Kelly. Now, we have Julie is going to give us an overview and some financials.
Good afternoon. Thank you all for being here. I thought as we talked about workshop items that it would be important to go back and review the initial setup, the history, and then also some things the previous board had decided on procedural rules and those kind of things as you move forward and start trying to make some decisions about the future. So just to give you a quick update on the Tirz one as it was developed. So when we did the initial financing plan, this was back in 2018, the goal was to fund construction of needed public infrastructure in the zone. So streets, water and sewer, parks and open spaces, and then of course economic development grants, which is what Kelly just alluded to with the grant that she's been working on. So really with the idea to encourage private development that's going to yield additional property tax or sales tax, and then to promote the creation of commercial, retail, office, hotels, residential, those kind of things within the zone. So project costs, remember that when we're talking about a financing plan, this is set up through the comptroller and approved by them. So these are the rules that we have to live in under the current Tirz, the way it's written. So you can see the split, and we won't read through all of this, but you can see the split as far as what's allowable. So right now, this is, your expenditures are really kind of immaterial to the grand scheme of things, but as your fund balance grows and projects get larger, then we'll have to really be careful to track the percentages within these categories here. So most things right now have been economic development grants, as you've seen, and then infrastructure and parking type improvements that have been made to downtown. So costs were estimates when they set up in the Tirz in 2018. They can be revised, but it has to go through the entire Tirz process in order if we're going to change any of the financing plan. As it is now, savings in one line can be applied to other lines, but again, those will require council approval and then have to follow the legal structure of a Tirz as it's set up in Chapter 311. So Tirz 1, so budget is developed and determined based on increment in the Tirz. So I thought it's important for everyone to understand that basically in 2018, if you had a base year property value of about 97 million, and now your current assessed value is 159 million. The difference is what goes into the Tirz. So you're only collecting on the growth in value. So, the rest of it still goes into the general fund as it always has. So the tax rate, for example, in 2026 is 5711. Remember that we did budget lower because at the time we received our property tax roll 20 days after the flood. And so there was a lot of unknowns at the time. So it's too early for me to really tell you what your revenues will look like. I'll be bringing those back to you in March because, again, until we exceed the base year collections, there's no increment for us to adjust. So as of now, there's no zero transfer to the Tirz. Usually that happens late January, between late January and March, just depending on collections. So when I do this in March, I'll be able to give you an update. I can tell you, based on updated rolls, that I would anticipate that your revenues will be much higher than that, probably upwards of 360 would be my guess based on now. But again, that's an estimate until I see what January collections look like. That's hard to say. So looking at your budget for 26, we do have this potential Texas Department of Agriculture grant match of $150,000 that this board approved, I believe, in 2024 or early 2025. The external enhancement grant, which Kelly just talked about, at $50,000. And then in 24, you spent $50,000 on the downtown comprehensive plan. And then 23, you can see the two expenditures there, which were enhancements to Clay and Water Crosswalk, and then the grant match for the block grant that was given to the city for the area next to the Star. So that all the ADA crosswalks and those kind of things. So you provided the grant match for that. So total $342,500 that's been either expended or committed by this board. So board procedures, which you have in front of you. So the city has an adopted set of procedures for any board and commission.
Let me
yes.
Interrupt just a
Please.
second. Does anyone have any questions on any of the budget numbers that she's given us? Anything that you don't quite understand or would like a little more information on. Just want to make sure before we go on that everybody is good with that. It's really, it's quite simple right now. So, everybody good? Okay, all right.
And Judy, Trina corrected me, the grant match for that potential Department of Ag is 100,000, not 150. So that has not been, we have no idea whether that's going forward or not at this point. That kind of slowed after everything that happened this summer. Okay, so the city has adopted board procedures, which I've provided you a copy for. You probably received these if you did your initiation for the board, but I wanted to provide those again. Then this board also established additional procedures just for clarification, I think, on some process type things that you would wanted to look at back in 2024. So it outlined specific meeting dates, and we find this helpful because it is really hard, as you've seen over the last few months, to find a time when everyone can meet. So these procedures do outline those specific meeting dates, and so those are set on the calendar, which you should all have received an invite for. And we feel like if we keep those the same, then everyone knows what to expect for the whole year.
And we will do everything that we can do, and we apologize for everything we went through the end of December. So
A lot of things happened in the last few months of the year
won't do that again.
Created some hurdles for us. So outlined really the charge of the board, and then really aided it in ensuring that this board had solid guidelines for dealing with funding requests as your fund balance grows and you have requests coming in. They can be modified at any time with different boards, as long as there is no conflict with the adopted board procedures that are adopted by the city, and that's why it's important that you are familiar with those. Also, keep in mind we have charter and state law that we have to follow as well. So I provided you with the adopted procedures. I believe these went out in email too and with the packet. So if there's any questions or any direction that this board wanted to give on those procedures, we can certainly address that moving forward. So this just addresses when the meetings are, so December, March, June, and August. The March meeting is very important because we'll present your year-end financials for the prior year. And August is very important because you'll have to consider a budget to be sent to City Council for consideration in their budget process. So those timelines really matter. The other ones, December and June, are really if needed. So again, as the board grows and is doing more things, you may want to meet every quarter. If not, then those two meetings are absolutely necessary for conducting business. So your job is to adopt an annual budget, which has to be approved by City Council, review cash flow, and then one of the things that we really talked a lot about was what should the reserve fund balance for this board be. At the time, kind of the appetite was make sure that we don't go below 100,000. I think that can change. The city's financial management policy specifies that we have to have between 15 and 25% cash at all times. You have a much smaller dollar right now, so I think that could change going out. But it's a procedure, not a rule. So again, that can be modified, as this board sees fit. So you'll review the annual financial report that we present to you, and that'll be in March, and then consider projects that align with the Tirz creation documents, as we talked about before that. So, and then make funding recommendations for council. So again, any action of this board has to be reviewed and approved by council. Any questions on those things? Yes.
I'm looking at your total revenue lines, each of the columns. Where do those? Let's look at the FY26, for example.
Are you looking at cash flow? Okay, let me walk you through that. I did a cash flow. These are all estimates, so just so you know.
And the question that I have is, if you take a look at 2026 budget, the total revenue looks at 334, 239. Mm-hmm. Where is that reflected in the next column, or is it?
So this is the way this cash flows. So the very top line is your fund balance that carried over from prior year. So then any revenues that come in for the year or projected revenues are added to that line. And then if you go down, your expenses or projected expenses are below that. Uh-huh. And then your ending fund balance is basically your fund balance from last year plus your revenues minus your expenses, which is then carried over to the next year.
So I'm lost.
Maybe.
Here's the problem.
Okay.
If we look at 2026, and you got 334, 239.
Mhm.
You say that it is added to what number below to be reflected in 2027?
It's added to, it's not. So see the 959, 682 at the very top?
Yeah.
That's what you started with.
Uh-huh.
So you're going to add your revenue. So
Right.
that 334, 239, you're going to add it to that.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then you're going to subtract your expenses
Right.
to end up with the 1.1 million down there at the bottom,
Gotcha.
which comes back up to the top at the beginning of 27.
Bingo, there
Which
it is.
then adds your revenues.
You just tied it in for me.
That's okay. That's
The green line goes up to the top line.
That's right.
Okay.
Yep,
Thank
that's
you.
right. Now, not reflected in this is that $100,000 reserve because that wouldn't tie to cash. So it goes to your actual fund balance. That's really just for presentation purposes to give you if we held on to 100,000.
Gotcha.
That's what that would
Thank
look
you
like.
very
So,
much.
Nope,
I'm
not a
sorry to
problem at
be
all.
slow,
Nope, it's fine.
This is the first time I've seen this
That's
thing.
okay. So we do these cash flow projections for every fund. This one is relatively simple. EIC is relatively simple. Our general fund one, of course, is not so simple. But we do these as an exercise that you can see that really helps us future plan. So we know based on what we project to be for revenues and expenses or committed expenses, then we can kind of project out what your available cash will be over time. So this is good for decision-making tools. And we update this regularly. If we see things are going to change throughout the year, then we'll update your projected cash, and we'll bring this back to you at each meeting just to let you know where we are. And then you'll get this, your hard numbers. When it says actual, that number is finished. I mean, that year is finished and complete. It's no longer being estimated. Okay? So then one of the big things that we really talked about, and Michael may be able to chime in if need be here, was how do we consider projects for this board? So they have to be located within the Tirz. They must meet the requirements for Chapter 311 and the Tirz project plan, as we talked about earlier. And then they have to be on a board agenda to be considered for action. So they have to include a project cost and timeline and cannot exceed current fund balance. So you can't pledge future revenues. So if you're going to, let's say, approve a project for $2 million, you don't have $2 million, you can't approve that project with the anticipation of getting those revenues later. So you can only work within the cash that you have. Projects should be brought to the board by city staff based on staff recommendation, all the things we just talked about, and then recommendations from city council potentially, recommendations from members of the Tirz or citizens, business owners, et cetera. But the idea is that Michael's team, an economic development team, would review those first to make sure they even fit into the scope before they were brought to this board on an agenda. So we've kind of done some homework for you. And that, again, was recommendation of the previous board. And so then application projects, basically it's going to go through the Assistant City Manager's office. So any potential projects. So, and again, these are guidelines. They can be modified, again, so long as they don't conflict with the city's overall board procedures or the charter. Any questions on any of that? And then, of course, I'm happy to circle back to cash flow if anybody has any questions on that. And then in March, we'll be bringing you updated financials for this year.
Anyone? Anything you'd like to ask?
I have a question. Where do these funds actually live? Do they live in the general account broken out with a separate accounting? It's a separate fund?
Yes, sir. They're in a completely separate fund, held by their own. The way the city spreads interest, so we have pooled cash. So it's together in pooled cash. From an accounting standpoint, it's in its own fund. And then if we have investments, however many investments we have, the interest for the month that we earn is spread among all funds based on the cash held by that fund. So if you're 1/10 of the total cash, then you're going to get 1/10 of the total interest earned. And that's how we do that.
And that's an actual bank account? So like where does that?
We have pooled cash. All of our cash is together for every fund. It's divided on the accounting side. So in our software, you have a fund that's specifically for Tirz that captures all property taxes that come in, and then that interest is allocated at the end of each month based on your percent of cash. And that's for we pool all of our cash. We have literally one bank account.
Right. Mm-hmm. Where is that bank account?
Wells Fargo. That is the city's, yes, 100%. And now keep in mind, we have investments. So there's, a lot of money held in securities and commercial paper and other places like that. And then we also use government pools, Tex Pool, Texas Class. So we have a lot of cash over in those places too, wherever it's protected the most. And then, of course, collateralized cash at Wells Fargo.
Perfect. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else? Crystal?
Will you remind me, the clay and water project, was that to paint the intersection?
It was that, but it was also the crosswalk components. There was some sidewalk improvements there for ADA, like the ramp going down into the crosswalk was widened and improved to make it wheelchair accessible. So there were several components
Okay.
of that right there, crossing from the parking garage over to what will be Heart of the Hills Heritage Center.
So the governor issued, did that come out of Tirz, or is that just?
I'm gonna charge it to y'all.
Yeah, that wasn't really text dot,
Somebody-
yeah.
No, the streets department took care of that.
Yeah.
Okay. I was trying to delicately.
No, you got it. That's,
And the money for that was not allowed. It didn't come out of Tirz.
Yeah.
That was a public project that Cuts did for the benefit of the city, and that wasn't charged to anyone here.
Okay,
And
perfect.
so,
Okay.
yeah, unfortunately, that was one we had to remove.
Anyone else? Any other questions?
Ms. Eichner,
Yes, sir.
can I just interject just one?
Yes, please.
I'm sorry I didn't make the last board meeting. Thank y'all for serving. Mr. Peterson brought up a question, and I can guarantee you if you have a question, somebody else on the board probably has that question, so there are no dumb questions. Somebody else is thinking the same thing, so ask a lot of questions, because it's pretty useless for all of us to have all this knowledge. So we want y'all to ask those questions and understand it, because we had, I think the last 2 boards ago was a large conversation around how can we finance a roundabout that's on Clay, and there wasn't enough cash, and it can't be debt funded. You all can't set up that way in the ordinance where the Tirz can't take on in debt, because really you don't know how much money you're ever going to take in. Could be 350 grand, could be 50 grand. And so it can't be done that way. And for a block project of a city, for a public works project, that's always a 7-figure number, seemingly. We don't usually get out the door without spending $1 million on a 1 or a 2 block downtown streets project. So the Tirz, in that regard, was meant to supplant some of that funding, to see if there's a way to get, okay, we're a little short, can we ask the Tirz board to fund this 10% of that public works project? And that's where we failed in that roundabout. Didn't rise to the council's level of projects that, we have $100 million worth of projects and $1 million to work with, so what gets the priority? But that's just an example. The only other way that you could technically, it's not really putting yourself in debt, is that if the council had an economic development project whereby they said, okay, we'll account a portion of the Tirz dollars to a project, they could do that. I think that was part of the conversation in the creation of the Tirz, was using some of this money as an economic development incentive, maybe over a long period of time. Say I think it was a downtown hotel was the conversation back in 2018. But they wouldn't be able to say, here's a dollar amount associated with that project, because they would never know. They could just say, okay, we're going to put 30% of that Tirz revenue towards this economic development project. Does that make sense? I'll stop talking.
Anything else from any of you? Like you said, please, this is the time to ask those questions, so we appreciate them. Okay, what I would like to do now is open it up to all of you, and to the board. Well, first of all, let's have, if you talk to us.
Ms. Eichner.
I'm sorry.
We do
Oh.
have one more presentation to go through
As part of the open forum, we wanted to give a little more detailed introduction.
Oh, okay.
Get the PowerPoint up just one second.
Sure.
Maybe. There we go. Thank you, Martin. So as many of you know, the Tirz board did fund a portion of the comprehensive plan update for a downtown plan. So I want to go through a little bit of that real high level. You each have a copy of that chapter at your place, so you can dig in much deeper. If you have questions, reach out. Happy to sit down and talk through it. The study area for the downtown portion of the comprehensive plan. They chose the Tirz boundary just because it is kind of all-encompassing of all the various boundaries we have for downtown. There is included an illustrative plan. It talks about the catalyst sites, the different character areas, open space, mobility, transportation, and character and branding are kind of the subset chapters of this, or subchapters of this section of the comp plan. Here's a little more on that plan. As you can see, some of the vacant blocks have been abstractly filled in for what future development could look like and reinvestment in the downtown area. So the framework that they looked at was studying the catalyst areas, broke it out into different character areas. I'll talk about that in a second. Obviously identifying current or future open space, and then a big portion of downtown obviously is mobility. So the character areas, there's the downtown core, which is different than the current core today by the zoning code definition. That'll be future discussion for council, but as a character area of downtown, it is a larger area. You have the commercial corridor on Sidney Baker that obviously connects downtown to the major retail component up 16. The University District is the south end of the Tirz, kind of connecting downtown to Shriner University. The transition zone in between the core and the University District, and then supporting development on the kind of the north side of downtown. It's not really a part of the downtown core, but obviously has an impact on what happens downtown, all inclusive of the Tirz boundary. There's some discussion and some future ideas for open space. The light green is existing open space, parkland. And then the kind of teal is other public space that may be potentially available in the future. Some of it is kind of far-fetched, just trying to think what projects could come out. Again, we're looking long-term, forward-thinking. What are some areas that could potentially become open space for the benefit of downtown? And here's a couple renderings of the downtown boardwalk. So this is basically from over the river looking at the back of Water Street. And you can see here there's the boardwalk at basically the street level, and then still a river trail down at the bank level below it. For mobility, we looked at pedestrian conflicts with the vehicular traffic, existing and future sidewalk connections, ultimately identifying potential projects for sidewalks. There's the active transportation. This is existing and proposed sidewalks, trails, and bike lanes in and around downtown. One of the kind of new ideas that came out of the downtown plan was the alley activation between Broadway and Water Street, roughly from that Tivy Street down to Memorial Park. And so the idea behind that was to provide additional front, if you will, to each of those buildings. So you could have a street front and then an alley front for some of those businesses that are split front and back, or subdivide the buildings into two different businesses. Character and branding, pretty straightforward. We've got gateways to consider. Wayfinding is always an important part of downtown. And then branding elements for what downtown's going to continue to grow to be. And then implementation, this is kind of a big part for the Tirz board to take a look at. Implementation plan has 8 different guiding principles broken out into different sections, and then individual action items, what the potential action item is, potential responsible parties, and then short frame, long frame projects, or some of them are just listed as ongoing. That again is in your packet that you have there. 91 separate action items. Some have already been started. There's a few in there that were completed since 2018. And then obviously more to go in the future. Any questions?
Thank you, Drew. That's helpful. I appreciate that. Any questions from anybody on any parts of those? You've all got a copy, so good nighttime reading, and,
And if
but
you do have any
good
questions,
information.
I do have a question. The one area that you showed, like the back of the Arcadia Theater, I think that area has so much potential. If it was lit and, you know, that it was utilized where you could actually, I'm thinking like a cabana is almost like in a hotel, you know, where it's like just so utilized there on the river. I think that area is really a great opportunity for us.
and so the concept there was to connect basically from the library, the ramp at the back of the library, all the way down to the pavilion that overlooks the river, off of the street, obviously behind the businesses. Do you want to talk more about it?
It's my favorite project. It's a problem project because it is costly. It falls within the Tirz, just at the very edge of the boundary. I think it was 2014 when staff or council first approached. We had a Freeze and Nichols give us a estimate, and I think back then it was somewhere in the tune of $8 million, right? So 12 years has passed, COVID and all the rest of it, and so that number is, it's going to cost me $5,000, us just $5,000 just to get an updated number on what that would be. But assuming that would be in the, at least I think $10 to $12 million range. But it would, I think, have one of the single biggest impacts on downtown, you know, opening up that entire thing. It creates a walkable area from going from the parking garage down to some type of walkway, you know, pavilion, walking under 16 to get over to the other side, activates the back of all those shops and restaurants. I mean, the Arcadia's back deck is a wildly popular place. Imagine if that was spread throughout the rest of that downtown stretch.
I concur with that completely because I walk the trail almost daily. And the north side of the river, right there by the Arcadia, down from Clint's shop and down from that part of the district with a boardwalk like you depict here, that would be stunning for this town, to have a place where we have a complete trail that can circle that part of Louise Hayes Park and the lake formed by the dam there. That would, and to be able to see it from both sides of the river, and you know, if it's $12 million, it's $12 million. I think it's something that funds could be raised for to enhance that area, and if need be, boy, it would look great. And I love the way you depict the additional shops that could be put in along there, and taking advantage of, you know, the diamond and the tiara for this part of downtown Kerrville.
Yeah. The development of the Guadalupe River Center, and I think that's going to create more activity on the water, and I understand that they're moving forward quickly on that. A lot of good things to look at.
It sounds like I can pencil each of you in for $1 million to go to. No, it's a fantastic project that just hasn't ever been able to see the light of day just because of the cost and the complexity of it. So we're still working on it. It's being vetted, asked about in other agencies, see if they'll help fund it, you know. But it's a big ticket item, and so it's hard to do.
It would be a real great addition to Texas.
Well, keep in mind, so was the Houston Astrodome. Harris County built it. So if there's a will, there's a way.
For sure, for sure. I'm happy to go beg, borrow, and steal for this idea if I'm allowed. Not steal, just, you know.
Okay, anything else you'd like to add, either Drew or Michael? Kelly, do you have anything to add from an economic standpoint of?
So, looking at the downtown plan and some projects that people have brought to me, a lot of discussions about sidewalks. I know that was something that the board, right before we had the transition for new board members, that came up. Mobility seems to be a consistent theme, making things more easily walkable. I know that there have been some concerns about parking, what acquisitions might be out there, parking lots, helping people with those. What are other grant opportunities for businesses? Maybe whether it's an equipment grant on top of the exterior enhancement, or some hurdles that some businesses hit whenever it comes to regulatory issues, and if that is something that we would like to look into. Denison, Texas actually did a Tirz grant that assisted with fire suppression needs because they did have a fire that went through their downtown and took out about 10 businesses. So that was a huge financial hurdle. So better understanding some of our regulatory needs for these Tirz businesses as they stay up to code and standard, and how we can financially help them there too. So mostly parking, but then also walkability, and then hurdles with business expenses in all ways, shapes, or forms.
Thank you. Let's kind of jumping around here. Delane, let's go ahead and if you'll talk to us a little bit about what this new cultural district is all about.
Okay. It's a team effort. I'm just here talking, but Howard and Catherine were very vital, and Kelly, of course, helped us. So back in April, the application was made to the state for a cultural district designation. There are 57 cities in Texas that have that. We are now one of those, and we'll begin to appear on the paperwork coming through the state as one of those cities. The benefits are that you keep in mind these grants that we apply for will have something to do with art. They can be kiosks that are directories showing people where to go, but they will have an art component to them possibly. Something that will not just be a structure, but will be a piece of art in a way, and it has a purpose. So we'll have 2 opportunities, I think, this year. We've already made 1 application last week for the smaller grant, the Grant Respond Program grant, which could garner us approximately $6,000, and we'll need a match, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to Tirz, because we'll have other grant opportunities, but they will all need to have a matching component, which the Community Foundation is very, comfortable talking with us about that. It will not be from our general fund. But basically, we have an opportunity because we are one of those 57 cities that you wouldn't have if you didn't have this designation. So it's kind of an open door now to some funding for some of the great ideas that had been coming out of, for instance, Main Street, which, we just had great ideas, whether it was sprucing up the garage or adding sidewalks or upgrading our public bathrooms or whatever those things were, but no actual funding to go to. And Howard Taylor is really the reason why he brought this idea to us when he got on the Main Street Board. I didn't even know what the Texas Commission on the Arts was. I'm sure Catherine did. But so I got educated, and so did the Main Street Board, and we kind of felt like Main Street was struggling, just with the requirements the state were putting on us to be a Main Street program. And this came into play, and it was a natural just to switch over to our thinking now is to go through the Texas Commission on the Arts. It's one way. I mean, if you think about all the funding opportunities that are here in Kerrville, you have the Tirz, you have EIC, you have the Downtown Business Owners Association. If it starts to get a little bit more proactive and community service and thinking of things to do, perhaps that's another entity that can bring more to downtown. But then now you have the Texas Commission on the Arts. So you have 4 different vehicles to look at for what is it you want and how do we get those funds and how do we put this together. This first grant will be primarily to focus on the comeback campaign that Kerr Rebuild is already planning, which would be to market our town as we are open for business. Our downtown didn't flood. We welcome you here. We want to see our winter Texans. We want to see our campers. We want to see all those that were coming come back. So that money may be spent towards interviewing and contracting with a marketing firm who would brand, if you will, our district, our cultural district as a place that's open for business and very welcoming, thriving and healthy and ready for your business. So that's what the first grant will look like. And then the next
That's the
grant.
6,000.
That's the 6,000. The next grant that's an opportunity would be June 16th, and we are working on that now to that date, which could be capital improvement money, which could go up to 250,000. Howard says it's not likely, but we may very well ask for it. So when you think about it, that's a $500,000 project, really, with the matching funds. So who can benefit from this? Everyone, even if you're not in Tirz. We're hoping that whatever we do with this first grant that promotes us spreads out through the Hill Country, not just our cultural district. So that's why I believe it's a benefit for tourism. It's a benefit for our locals who are here that want to keep our restaurants open and our shops open. How can y'all help us? Well, in our next project, if we have a project that could use some matching funds for a capital improvement that Tirz may agree we need, that's something we may come to you and ask in a formal way as to would you approve this? Would this be something you might approve to use Tirz funds with? So we're not talking about millions of dollars yet. I don't know if there is an opening for that type of money, but we're climbing our way through to see what we can do with what we get. Do you have any questions about the Texas Commission on the
I
Arts?
think it's exciting and intriguing, the matching factor. It's a great way for us to get a boost to our investment if we decide to move forward with any projects together. And so, a great way to amplify our dollars spent through that vehicle with the matching grant that comes apparently from the Texas Commission on the Arts.
Correct.
So I like being able to double my dollar.
Right, and that seems to be the trend with all the nonprofits now when you're applying for a grant. And I think it's healthy because it forces the nonprofit or whoever the entity is to say, are we sustainable? Before we even get your money, or how sustainable are we already? Because sometimes you need to have some feet on the ground to be able to carry the project through.
Since y'all are operating as a nonprofit, it's a filed 501c3.
It's not a nonprofit, right?
It's not?
Kelly?
No, ma'am.
No, it could be. I mean, we could make it that way someday. Right now, the city is supporting this.
City support,
Kelly
okay.
has, part of her time is spent helping us with the grant application and meetings and.
Y'all have a starting budget or a kitty with something in it to get going?
We do. Howard, would you like to talk? You've been working on the budget. Would you like to?
Sure.
I mean, it's.
I'd like to know kind of where you're starting from
Right.
and what you got.
I'll let you, I mean, I know what the number is, but he's the one that put it together, so.
Hi, Kelly. Since we're talking numbers, the challenge, and this is different than any comparable cultural district I've worked with because it's city rather than 501c3. And so, Kelly, the reason I kind of mentioned you is that in submitting our proposal and going forward, they will base the amount of money you can request on the size of your budget. And since we're under the city, there's a lot more, Kelly, that we can include that I've discovered since you submitted the proposal. For example, there are other activities that occur downtown. The festival that happened here, there were direct costs, but there were also city costs involved. And even, Michael, your time that you spend, for example, with the Main Street program, maybe as a portion of your salary, it's not a lot, but when you add it up with all the other city services that are involved, the homecoming parade, things like that, give you an opportunity because those are real, genuine expenses. So I think one of the things that we need to look at to make this thing really have heft to it is to, the plan, for example, I would say, this is a guess, Michael, Kelly, maybe 40% of that plan involved the downtown area, so you had $50,000 plan, so I would say reasonably you could attribute 20,000 of that expense, a real expense. So that's a part of the challenge of working with this. And there's nothing that says you can't exceed the match, so you can get 20 times the match. That rarely happens, I mean, usually. And I think in most cases when you apply for a grant, you generally have a pretty good idea of where the match is going to come from in advance. The rules are odd. You can't have the match in advance. You have to have that after the fact. But anyhow, that's, any other questions related to that?
Well, I think
No.
if I understand the basics, you're a committee that's part of the city.
Mhm.
We've achieved this status. We don't have a budget line. We could in the future, perhaps. So, you know, in order to fund future projects, it's got to come from somewhere.
Yeah.
We already outlined all the different sources for funding in a previous conversation, and this is one opportunity. So I guess I'm interested to see what y'all plan, and I think that, not speaking for anybody, but I'd like to know more about the future conversations and presentations on Kerr Rebuild. I think that's got some legs. We do need a
Yeah, that's
marketing
Catherine, I believe, representing
campaign.
that aspect.
I'm surprised that perhaps the visitor center, are y'all collaborating on such an opportunity
Absolutely.
on that? Because that
Uh,
seems to have a common
The
theme there.
CVB and the Chamber of Commerce, I think, are both
Okay.
very bought into this idea. I think one thing that what I was trying to say when I came up earlier is that I see a real opportunity and an honest opportunity to present this community as a unique place of innovation and creativity. I don't think, and you know, when you live in a place for so many years and someone comes in from the outside, sometimes they see something a little differently, and I'm still just absolutely astonished at the richness of the cultural life of a small community like this. And then you tag on ideas like James Avery, you know, again, a creative industry that was born here, or even HEB, which has its roots here. I think that's something that we can really begin to capture and create an image of our community. If you go to Fredericksburg nearby, you know, we know what that is. It's German and it's wine apparently more and more, or Bandera, cowboy. Well, what is, and I love the new marketing catchphrase that has been assigned to the community. I've forgotten what that is. Can you remind me?
Love where you live?
I'm thinking of the Kerr Crafted. Yeah, I think that's a good one. You know, I think it's called Beautifully Crafted, and I think that's kind of the way I see the community, having come here as an outsider. I'm beginning to think I'm not an outsider anymore. I hope you'll grant me that. It's been 3 years, so I'm getting there. Okay. Anyhow, thank you.
Thank you, Howard. The second grant, do you have, is there a timeline on that?
It's due June 16th, and we've already started thinking of some of the projects that
Came up through Main Street. I have been anyway, and just trying to plan ahead and not have it, we don't really want to do it in the day of, finish it, right? We want to have it done. But you know, Kelly has been amazing. I mean, really, she is the contact person, by the way, for the state. I'm the chair of the board, but she is listed as that contact person, so, and she's been very helpful. So we solicit your ideas as well, if you have any. We can't do that, but we'd love to, but we can't. And just as we're talking about that, isn't eminent domain, did you figure that as part of the expense?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, yeah, that's also, that's a challenge all in itself, right?
No, we dealt with the lower section where we're trying to do just river trail below. And if property owners don't want to be a party to it, then, you know, it's a whole, usually that stops the projects, right, in their tracks. Eminent domain and condemnation are words that we don't like to speak of because they cost 10 to 50 times what you would want to pay for it in the first place, and it's just not something that we want to do. So that's, you know, an elevated boardwalk's a little different than the river trail down below, but still, we'd have to have everybody's buy-in before any of that works anyway.
So if you have projects that are in that realm of, you know, number,
You probably would have some of the same ones we already do. That, like I said, that came from Main Street. And a lot of it has to do with, if you have an inviting, very appealing look to your downtown, whether it's benches or light posts or more sidewalks to connect folks to other places. Your locals will benefit and your visitors will come. So that's kind of our goal, is to, and we're open for suggestions.
Well, I was gonna say, do you guys have some ideas that you're bringing over from Main Street?
We do. We just had our first board meeting and we really pretty much did housekeeping, where we had to swear some folks in and they're all, but the next one will be to put on paper what some of our real tangible, and we'll probably some of that we're just dusting off from the Main Street board because we did have quite a few ideas there. So yes, we do. Would you like a list?
Yes.
We will get you a list.
Yes, yes.
Do you hope or intend to file for or apply for federal grants?
Can we?
We can't match grants from another federal or for another government agency, but it's still an opportunity. Certainly, I think the committee can do whatever.
And this first one that you talked about, am I right in the number 250?
No, the first one
is 6.
We asked for 20, and with a matching of 20, but we'll likely get 6,000 to 8,000, which would be 12 to.
So you actually asked
There are
for
2 opportunities a year for
20.
these smaller grants, and they always put a big number, like you can ask for up to 25,000. But reality is it will be somewhere between maybe 3,000 and 5,000, and not guaranteed. It's competitive, very competitive. But and then once a year, and this is strictly for cultural districts, and it's a relatively new thing. Well, it's been out for a decade, but it's the first opportunity to ask for capital grants from the state. And that's what I did in San Angelo. It was all capital, everything there. I think here it's more likely to be a mix, supporting things like festivals and activities downtown, but also capital projects. And it does allow other cultural organizations who already have the opportunity to apply and do. I know our theater does, both of our theaters are
Arcadia does too.
Yeah, have it.
Yeah,
But the big ones, they can, I think it's as much imagination as you can bring to it and really be compelling. And there's just endless opportunities here, I think, for things that can be done in capital.
We did go ahead and get a work project, numbers and everything on getting 4 or 5 kiosks, similar to what CVB has in front. We got the pricing on that. That would probably, I think they're 3,000 to 6,000, depending if they're indoors or outdoors. If they're outdoors, I think it's 6,000 a piece. But if they were a little more, let's just say, and they had an art component to it, which would be kind of a natural, honestly. But you want something not just a metal structure. You'd like to have something that either it's reflective of the river or the water or something artsy about it. But if we place those strategically around in the cultural district, you would have folks checking to see what's at Arcadia and where do I find the Heritage, Center for the museum. And where are these wonderful things? I get the information from the CVB, which is where I stopped first. And then you can go to your next kiosk, which is at the parking garage, and find out how do I get to the walkability, all the shops and the various things that we have downtown. And it would have the ability to be current and, update itself as opposed to something that's a little more challenging to make it current. So that's the first one we've talked about doing because it would also serve a lot of folks, not just one entity, not just one venue, but tourists and locals alike would know what's playing at the Arcadia, what's playing at the Calo.
And restaurants.
And restaurants.
Shops.
And, openings, new openings and things like that. So that is something we have been working on. If you want the numbers, I'll get those to you too.
So your the first grant you're working towards is this?
It's more like marketing.
Marketing, okay.
We didn't know at the time that Kerr Rebuild was also working on a comeback campaign. But that's fine. I mean, we can either join forces and possibly that's what we do so that we're not all duplicating efforts. Because the basic bottom line is right now we want our businesses not to suffer. And I think we're already seeing this winter a downturn in tourism and retail. So rather than wait, for the next grant, we chose to get this one in right away so that we could start using, because we should get that money in April.
Okay. Question, does the cultural district, is it larger than Main Street was?
Well, you know, I used to compare the two as being similar, but they're I think they're different. I mean, is it larger? Not necessarily larger, but more practical. Like we have, you can have the opportunity to go get funding for projects.
Okay.
Whereas Main Street didn't have a manager, which it needed. And I think the reason you have managers is because Kelly can tell you it takes a lot of time to follow through with all these ideas that you have. So I'm sad that Main Street is not continuing, but I feel like if we can pick the ball up in another way and keep running with it, this is one way to do it. So
I can answer a couple of those questions too. So right now, the cultural arts district is the downtown core because we applied under Main Street, so we use that same boundary. We are working in June. We can submit any updates to the state. So what we're going to do is we're going to send an update for the map to match the downtown arts and culture as seen in our 2050 plan, expand it just a little. It's still all within the Tirz. And then we are also looking at including Louise Hayes Park so that nonprofits, because one of the great things about this designation is that if you are a 501c3, either already in that designation boundary or you're wanting to have an event in that boundary, then you are eligible for matching funds for your programming and things like that. So for instance, if someone wants to have, whether it's Shakespeare in the Park or something that another nonprofit wants to do within the park, we're hoping that they allow us to include that so that matching funds are available. And then also with the rebuild, the Kerr Together Tourism Recovery Group, they were the ones who went out and received funding, $400,000 for a comeback campaign that is going to be community-wide, not just Kerrville. That was one of the things, is that it will encompass the entire community. They are hoping for some additional funds. They were hoping for 520. They received 400. So it is looking pretty promising that they'll be able to increase that budget to be able to expand what that looks like. They have engaged with Madden, who the CVB already uses for their campaigns and for their PR and marketing. And it would just be expanded to the full community for this specific comeback campaign.
Thank you. Good information. We have some other people here that I'm sure have some ideas for us. So let's start on the back row. Larry, you got something you would like to offer up to us?
Did not plan to speak here today. The downtown Tirz, I think that the sidewalks, park benches, amenities, lights, wayfare signage in the entire Tirz area is going to be beneficial from anyone looking to buy and open a store. Our streets and sidewalks need to look better. And if you go down from Broadway or Water or Clay, you're on the sidewalk, you're on grass, you're on the sidewalk broken, you're on. That's something we can do just to enhance the Tirz to make it more attractive. The boardwalk and the river trail behind the back of these properties, I know Mr. Hornis works on it a lot. I've worked with him a lot on this for many years. I've been here since the beginning of the river trail and many years ago. It's not that hard to do. It's big numbers, but you have to set your mind to getting a goal done. The pavilion downtown, a lot of the things that happen just because the right group of people get together at the right time and push in the same direction. So these are not unattainable. These are very attainable goals. And easement-wise, yes, we've got easements, I think, for all of the upper trail except one, for the lower trail except maybe one or two, and one's waiting on the other. So those are all doable. I see that, the downtown, the back of the river trail and the boardwalk would be my #1 priority, and then sidewalks would be probably #2, and more affordable, of course. So the Arcadia has been very blessed to have what we've got downtown, from our fundraising from the city, from EIC, from private donors. We're just so happy to be downtown. With the addition of Mr. Orm's business and Pookie, I mean, I've never seen downtown in 43 years of living here more vibrant than it is today. And I think the ball's rolling. We need to keep pushing in the same direction. So, thank you.
Thank you. Catherine, you weren't here earlier. Do you have anything you want to?
Only thing I'll say is I'm obviously fully supportive of all of that and just excited to be part of it. And, you know, obviously the CAP program supports it, and there's a lot of thought and effort put into a lot of different people. I think there's a lot of opportunity for the cultural arts districts, and what we've seen other small communities of our size, similar, done some really transformational projects. So yes, more to come.
Okay. We've got those of you who are kind of coming over from Main Street. Do you guys have some things you want to offer up?
I'll just say that I think that we'll give you a very good list once we
Okay.
meet in Feb, because we've got so many ideas swirling around that I think,
Okay.
I think you'll be pleased with what we come up with.
Okay, great, great. From the chamber, and thank you for all that you have done in the past, Main Street and the Tirz. The thing we have over when the Tirz started, we have a little bit of money, not much, not a lot, but we have a little bit. So.
Thank you, Mayor, for giving me the opportunity to say a few words. This is very exciting. This is nothing new. This is something that's enhanced, though. And so it is very exciting to be able to be a part of all of these projects, real or imagined at this time. Larry's right. He's been here for 43 years. I won't tell you how long I've been here because I'm older than him and we have the same birthday, and it's longer. But if I can speak for the chamber, and then I'm going to speak for community leadership, past leadership, and so forth. From the chamber standpoint, we are so want to be an enthusiastic partner and supporter of all these things, because it only helps our as business association, as a chamber, to help others. You join things because you want to be a part of something bigger than yourself. And so anything that we can do to promote that, to help educate that, that's what we can do to help that. And we look forward to seeing some of the outcomes of this hard work that's been going on. From a community leader, past Tirz, past Main Street, past council person, I would say to you, we had zero money, and now we have a little money, and hopefully we'll have more money. And it is a balancing act of acting on the wonderful increments that you are getting in to actually see and feel and touch these projects. But I also would encourage you highly to keep a great, strong contingency fund, a fund balance. I won't talk percentages, that's not what I'm here for. But downtown's ebbs and flows. There is one time that it's just like it is right now, and it's wonderful and vibrant, and people are happy and so forth, and then there's times that you can shoot a cannon through downtown, and it might happen again. So please, I say to you, make sure that you have a great fund balance for those times that hopefully will never come again, but might. Okay, thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Todd, you have not spoken.
Thank you, Mayor. So I'm here on behalf of EDC in a support of, as again, a Main Street board member, Kerrville Downtown Business Association board member. Seeing this, I agree with Larry. I've never seen the downtown look so good, and I know we go back many, many years working on these same projects, and that's what it takes. It takes continual work. Appreciate the board, appreciate the forward thinking in 2018 to create the Tirz district, to create revenue. Agree with all the sidewalks here. Our role in this obviously is downtown is the heartbeat of our economy. It is part of our major economic ecosystem. And we're here with EDC to help support the Tirz, to help support the city and Kelly and any ventures that the Arts and Cultural District now take on. And really, again, really appreciate all of you serving, and thank you for your time and anything we can do to assist.
Board, do you guys have some specific things you would like to mention at this time that we haven't mentioned?
You know, I'd really like to have a spitball session. And maybe this is it. This is the spitball session of kicking around some other ideas. Thank you for directing us on the proper avenues to get the information to the right people so that it escalates further. But I think at the ground level, I'd like to see a list of ideas and how we might be able to create some hierarchy as far as what's most important and what really fits the confines of our tasks and duties. So I'm looking for, you've got great ideas. They're already typed up. I've got them scratched on paper, as always, on my end. So I'm looking forward to really having that spitball session where we can kind of get down, invite other people from the community to get in on this spitball session, get a dry erase board, scribble them all out there so that we can kind of get some of all this wonderful information organized so that we can sink our teeth into it. That's what I want to do. I want to take action. But I want to get all the information on the table so we can make some good choices.
Thank you for the segue. So I'd like to distribute this to you guys. I'm sorry I didn't bring enough copies, but I did, with the help of the internet and my friend ChatGPT, I compiled some information that is what other communities have done and used their TERS dollars for in some projects. I think there's like 6 or 7 of them in here. So that, because we've had discussions in the past, we've talked, obviously we're doing the facade grant, we talked about sidewalks, but that was one of the things that was challenging for me to just come up with, out of thin air, some ideas. So I do have those. I'd like to give you guys those.
Okay.
I need my copy back.
Yes, I was going to say, I'm sorry.
I gave it back to you. We'll be glad to accept them. And Laura, if maybe if you'll share yours with the group.
I can rattle them off. I'd love to see Wi-Fi all throughout downtown. I think that's really cool. I like going in other cities and being able to grab a city Wi-Fi wherever I am. There's actually dead spots for my cell service all throughout downtown. I got to step on my toes and lean right when I go past grape juice to pick it back up. And I think Wi-Fi has a means of getting people to come into a center. So, and it's cheap, relatively speaking. So I don't know, that's something that I think could be, a connecting element to bringing people downtown, whether it's visitors, catching some free Wi-Fi, whatever it might be. I know we do it in cafes all the time, but this brings everybody to the core where they might eat, they might shop, they might do all sorts of things while they're there, passing through whatever it might be. So many empty tree wells. Drives me crazy seeing that. I think we've said that a multitude of times. So sad, so sad. The public bathrooms, atrocious. Oh my Lord. Oh my, I won't even get into that one. I think that's a quick, easy gratification, fairly inexpensive project we can knock out. I had no idea how bad it was until I was redoing Pookie's and needed to use a restroom that was working somewhere. And, it's scary, let me tell you. And there's only so much cleaning the Arcadia can do. It's not the cleaning, it's the fact that those are, vinyl tile squares that have been sitting there for 3 decades straight or whatever it's been. And when stuff gets dingy, it's time for a refresh. So that was on my list. Kind of a pie in the sky one. We got amazing parking in a garage, yet so much resistance to walking a block or two. I don't know if there's some kind of trolley service we can kick up to make that easier and somewhat delightful and charming at the same time. I thought that would be kind of neat. And that's kind of Laura's crazy ideas for the minute.
Okay. All right. Good. Thank you. Clint?
I would like to commend the city on the parking garage. I know that my employees use it every morning, and I try to use it on the days. But I get good reports back from our employees, and they feel good when they're there. It's generally, it's clean, and just not any horrible reports. I know, I drove through there last night, and I don't know how long the LED lights have been in there, but it's really nice. And I do think that I'd like to look back in history. I know you guys have some reports and have done some studies on how to improve the garage. I'd like to kind of learn, what's already been put in place, and, the study on that. I think it'd be really interesting to see, what might be some nice, easy additions to that. But there's so many really good things the city's already doing. I think I would like to compliment everyone on your hard work. On top of the last 7 months, you've not only repaired, but you kept everything going. And I think you've probably surprised yourself at what kind of energy levels you have and what kind of resources you pull from within to make everything work. And I don't think that there should be very many bad reports going on about Kerrville, Texas right now. Ingram and Hunt, I think the strength that we've gained in the last 7 months has just been tremendous. And I do think that it's a strength and a energy that can really take us forward to places we've always wanted to go. So I don't really know exactly how deep to go into my list, but the things that have been mentioned, I think, are all really great things.
Thank you. Jack?
Well, this is a broader look at funding opportunity. Earmarks is a bad word for most folks. But Chairman Cole, who chairs House Appropriations in the Congress, accepts earmarks. And if our guys are not asking for earmarks, the guys up in Wisconsin and over in Washington State and Maine are all getting our tax dollars. And if we don't go after actively through maybe the Conference of Mayors, maybe the National League of Cities, and touch base with our members of Congress, both members of the Senate and the congressman from the 21st District, we're missing a funding opportunity that we need to go after. There are economic development grants available through the Department of Commerce. There are economic grants available. And right now, Kerrville has been mentioned an awful lot. And this is an opportunity that we need to take now when the new Congress comes in and goes after an earmark in case the Appropriations Committees in both houses accept earmarks. Or in either house. Doesn't have to be both.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
He's got a look.
Ms. Eichner, I could
I think he
can help champion some of that. So we've been talking to the U.S. Economic Development Administration. Their regional director came down and met with us to discuss project possibilities. Right, it's a very narrow focused grant pot, and so they kind of gave us some. Here's the directions that would be successful. We've been in conversations with the General Land Office, which addresses the CDBG disaster relief funds, which is an appropriation. So it was a little hard in the last few months because the federal government was shut down. So it wasn't like there weren't a lot of people that were answering phone calls. We could talk to our legislators. Talking to staff was a little bit more of a challenge. So we're excited to get that opportunity.
Talk to your members of Congress. And they will be able to get a call through to whatever agency you want them to talk to.
And I think there was a meeting this week between Intergovernmental Affairs Committee through the Chamber and several members of the Texas legislature. Yep.
Well, don't go to the legislature.
And
go to Congress.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Go to Congress. Don't go to the legislature. They don't do that.
We're asking
Congress
them all.
does.
We're asking everybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Ladies, last two, Crystal.
ditto to everyone before me, so I'm not repeating it. I really like the concept of and I'm gonna get the name wrong, but just the improving the walkways in the alley. I think that's, for me personally, that is thinking outside the box, and I would have never thought of that. So whether it's improving one business in front and back, or you can take one building and put two businesses, that's something that is definitely not on my radar. And then it can bring in walkability to what you were saying, but then really pulling in the Shriner kids to get involved and pull them into town. Because maybe some people just like, oh, I don't go past Walmart, so I just stay over onto that side of Shriner. Really get them involved in into town. And then to what Kelly was saying about helping businesses with some of their regulatory. I'm a grant gal, and I think that's just really, it's not free money, it's just getting our money back, our tax dollars back. But I'm a grant gal, so if we can help some of our businesses, I know what fire suppression systems cost, and that's not a nice bill to get, so I like some of those ideas. So, yeah.
Sue?
I think all the ideas presented today are amazing and wonderful ideas. And I hate to be a dog with a bone, but I really feel like something needs to happen with the bricks on the sidewalks. I think that it's really detracting from the whole, like if we really want people to feel comfortable and safe downtown, I think those bricks have to be pulled up. We have to do something about the sidewalks. And to me, that seems like it should be the priority. I don't know. Just that's my thought.
All right.
But I love all these ideas are wonderful.
Thank you. Okay, we are past 4:30, and that was my goal. Thank you. Yes? Okay.
Honestly, so it's either building the blue building with the blue glass that has no features at all facing the river. That's mostly empty. It's the half that the other half that Clinton Knox didn't buy. And I'm really pleased that the Orms were able to wrestle away half of that building from the owners who are out of town. This is a very, very, very small interest to them. They're really not interested in the building. It's mostly empty, our side. Our rent just went up because we're one of their 2 paying renters. And that whole thing, all of upstairs is empty. We raised a lot of money to be able to move into the other space, thank goodness, and now we got to keep raising money. And they own the parking lot too. And that's why I was thanking Clint for his employees parking elsewhere. We have designated parking, but that's private parking there. And we have that great parking lot. But anyway, I think Howard is suggesting, and I love the Orms thought, of somebody buying the rest of that building so that it's locally owned, and then we can pretty it up and do something with it. Instead, there's you see rotten bats upstairs. It's not even, I shouldn't say that, but it's such an underutilized building. And it's right there, it's right there. Yeah, so I don't know if the city can ever consider. It's a real estate opportunity, I think.
Well,
and I'm doing the classical arts there, adult education for classical arts that your nephew wants to get in. And I keep telling your sister he's too young, but classical realism is what we do there. Howard gets it. I'm really pleased that Howard gets it. Thank you, Howard.
I like Jackson Pollock over
Thank you.
Can I speak about
You both can. We'll let
the
you go
building?
first.
Well, first of all, I'd like to really speak up for the Faskin Group. They've owned the building for 8 years, and they kept the parking lot open for the city. They've given it to the city for so long. And I think they deserve a big shout out for, there's a lot of things that went on behind the scenes. They're a wonderful company. They bought this not to make money on it. They bought it to help bring good things to the city. And that's the type of company that they are. They've been a big asset to the city, in my opinion. They haven't cost the city a lot of money, and they've offered a lot to the city. So I think I really appreciate what they've done for the city of Kerrville. It's, you know, they've had the building for like 8 years, and with plans and looking at plans, what they could do, but they just don't do average projects. You know, what they do is amazing, and it's, I wouldn't have done this, I wouldn't have done my building without the Paskins, because they're such a wonderful company. If you look at what they've done in the past and how they go in and support a community and really do good. So they spent hundreds of thousands of dollars looking to see what they could do for the city. And, you know, none of us are probably gonna see what they've done, but I think it's all good to be thankful for.
Maybe we should present the boardwalk project to them.
Yeah. Well, you know what, I think they've already, you might be surprised what they've already put into the community, and I can't speak for them, and I can't give you dollars amounts, but they've done a lot already.
Michael?
I'm just gonna pitch for the downtown plan that y'all have in front of you. So that was not just an effort into silo, that was hundreds of responses from members of the community to help inform the plan, which has a list of action items about 6 pages long. And so from a city standpoint, so you understand, when we go up and present an item, we have to, is that item a portion of the comp plan? Does that align with the things that the council's trying to accomplish? And so I think hopefully what you'll see in there is within those pages, a lot of the items that you're talking about. And I can tell you, it helps drive that conversation. The more that that's in line with what we have here. Obviously, there's going to be stuff that nobody thought of that you all are going to come up with. But it certainly helps when we're looking for approval to spend funds that it's in alignment with those plans. And that's all I had.
Okay, thank you. Yes.
Back when I was on the Main Street board, we needed someone, an administrator. We were asked by the state to actually have a manager, and we did not have the budget for a manager from the city. So I actually looked at the Tirz bylaws to see if that money could come from this amount of money, this account. Because quite honestly, all these ideas take a lot of time. We do have a staff person in the city that can help us, but you know, she's got other responsibilities, especially since July 4th, and as well as Michael and others. So I'm just putting it out there that if there's any way you could amend the bylaws to pay for someone to oversee all of these ideas. Somewhere down the road, you're gonna need someone. You may not right now, but I just know from having to try to do some of these things myself, it's not possible. So, and your volunteers are usually, they work, they have families, they're happy to come contribute their time, but they can't oversee a project. So just a thought for the future.
Okay, all right. Thank you all, board and all of you who came. As Laura has mentioned, our challenge is how do we get all these in order and some money behind them. So, but we've got to start somewhere, and hopefully we've been turning the wheels a little bit more, and thank you all for coming. Appreciate it, board, thank you. We'll meet again in March, and meeting is adjourned.